everyone, this is Chase Coleman with UMA, and this is our second lecture in our game theory series. In the previous lecture, we introduced a few concepts. We introduced the concept of a game. And if you recall, a game consists of a set of players, a set of actions for each player, payoffs that map the actions taken by all players into a payoff for each player, and some kind of a timing protocol that specifies who takes what action when. And then we identified each of these components of a game by working through the example of the prisoner's dilemma. And the prisoner's dilemma was described by the following payoff matrix. We had two players, player 1 and player 2, and if player 1 and player 2 ratted each other out, they both received the payoff of -1. If player 1 was silent while player 2 ratted them out, player 1 received -2 and player 2 received 4. The opposite is true if player 1 ratted while player 2 was silent, and if both players stayed silent, they received the payoff 3-3. In today's lectures, we're going to be talking about strategies and what consists of a strategy in game theory. So, a strategy is a function that determines the probability with which each player chooses a particular action. And depending on the structure of the game, this function can potentially depend on other players' actions or any other information that might be available to the player making a decision. So let's think about some of the strategies that might be present in the prisoner's dilemma. We might have the strategy that both players choose to stay silent. In that case, they would receive the payoff 3-3. Both players could rat one another out, in which case they'd receive 1-1. We could have a strategy where player 1 chose to stay silent and player 2 chose to rat out. In that case, player 1 would receive -2 and player 2 would receive 4. But it's also possible that we could have a strategy for each player where each player ratted with probability 0.5 and stayed silent with probability 0.5. And that would give us some combination of all of the payoffs. So there's a 0.25% chance that silent is played, 0.25 chance that rat is played, 0.25% chance that player 1 staying silent and player 2 ratting would be played, and a 0.25% chance that player 1 would rat and player 2 would be silent. So this is rat with probability 0.5 and stay silent with probability 0.5 is a possible strategy. The first three strategies, where each player chooses to do a particular action deterministically, is what is known as a pure strategy. So they're just playing one action with probability 1. The last strategy is known as a mixed strategy because the players are mixing over the different actions that they might take. We also want to introduce the idea of a best response. So, given the other player's strategy, a best response strategy is a strategy that maximizes a particular player's utility. For example, imagine that we were playing the prisoner's dilemma. So we have our payoffs of 1-1, -2, 4. Sorry, this is 1-1. This is rat, silent, Then this is -2, 4, 4, -2, and 3-3. If we knew that our partner, aka player 2, was going to stay silent, so we know for sure we're going to be in this column, then what would our best response would be? Well, in that case, our best response would be choosing between receiving 4 if we ratted and 3 if we were silent. And so rat is the best response to silent. Now, let's go ahead and think about what's the best response to ratting. Well, if we know that player 2 is going to rat, then we can choose between receiving 1 if we also rat them out, or -2 if we stay silent. So rat is also the best response to rat. And this leads us to one final definition, which is a dominant strategy. A dominant strategy is going to be a strategy that is a best response to any action the other players might take. So as we just saw, rat is the best response to both rat and to silent, which makes rat the dominant strategy. And now rat is the dominant strategy for both players. So can you guess what game theory is going to predict what will happen in the prisoner's dilemma? So in this lecture, we discussed what a strategy is. We gave examples of pure and mixed strategies. And then we talked about the ideas of a best response strategy and a dominant strategy. And that wraps up what we're going to talk about here.